like this, and it pops right out. Hi there, this is Ray with Easy Simple Mechanic. Welcome back to the channel. And today we're going to try and fix this LG refrigerator. I know that some of you guys will have issues with this, and like this one, my daughter had an issue with it. She went and got a new one. Of course, it's like $2,000. So today I'm going to try and troubleshoot this refrigerator and see if we can't order parts to fix it so that we don't have to spend that kind of money. Let's get with the program and see if we can't figure out what's going on with this refrigerator. Well, before you get started, you guys want to make sure that you clean these things out, because if they have mold in them or stuff like that, if it's in the powdery form, if you inhale that, that can actually cause you some damage, some illnesses. So you want to make sure that you spray it down with a cleaner that has bleach, and then we'll clean this all out before we get started on this. So I pulled it out here outside the garage so I could get my hose on it. We'll get all that and all of the different parts washed off, make sure everything's clean and disinfected, so that if we get to working in there, we don't get contaminated with something. Let's get started. Okay, so there we go. We got the refrigerator cleaned out, all nice and clean. There's no more mold or anything in it. So this will work out nice if we can get it working. This is a really nice fridge because it has these compartments, and it has this extra door here that you can open, and it has, you know, so that you don't have to open the entire fridge to get stuff out of those shelves that you use most common. So that's kind of nice, energy saver. Anyway, so let's get to troubleshooting this guy and see if we can't get something figured out. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna pull off this tray off the back here and see if we can't figure out what's going on. So let's get started with that. These are just Phillips screws here. That one's just spinning, so we'll have to put some pressure on that one. Okay, there's that one. Have to put some pressure on it. Okay, that kind of comes off. And so what we have down here is we have the condenser on this side with where those fins are right here. That's the condenser. We have this little fan that is right in here. You can see that. That's a condenser fan. We have the compressor, which is right here. And those are the main components that we're interested in over here to see if this is going to work. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug it in, and we're going to see what happens with those items. See if they're all working. So let me get an extension cord. Here we've got an extension cord. We're just going to plug it in. Okay, so we plugged in the refrigerator. We let the control reset, and then we're checking to see if we got You can put your hand on the compressor, you feel it doing its thing, it's vibrating. We check the fan. We got the condenser fan, seems to be working. Now, one of the things that I do is I check these lines right here. This one is going to the evaporator. This one is coming from the condenser, which is here. So this one is the high side line, which is a high pressure line. And this one is the low side pressure line, this big one. And this is the high side pressure line. So if you touch those, the high side pressure line should be hot or warm, and the cold side pressure line should be cold to the touch. If you do that, and they're that way, if this one's cold and this one's hot, coming from the condenser is hot or warm, then you know that it's got Freon and it's actually circulating Freon through the system. So that tells me that everything down here is working okay. All right. So now, if it's still not working, then we need to check the fans on the inside of the fridge. Now this is on the freezer side. I don't know if you can hear it, but the fan is running on the freezer side. Okay, you can feel some air coming through there. All right. Now on some of these newer model refrigerators, you have these control panels. Now the reason you see these numbers on here is because in order to check this without it going through its cycling and all of that, you have to find the control board on the refrigerator. The control board on this refrigerator happens to be up on top of the refrigerator. So you pull the cover off, I've already done that, and then you find a little reset button right here. If you push it once, then it goes into test mode, and it's gonna check the compressor, make sure the compressor's running. It's gonna make sure the condenser fan is running, and it's gonna check if you're getting the fans inside the refrigerator running. Okay, if we press it again, I think it goes into its regular mode. Let me see. Yeah, if you notice, it goes into its regular settings on the front of the panel. And if you notice here, the fans quit working. Okay, the other one forces it to stay on. It doesn't do anything other than it forces it, so that way you can verify that the fans are working. Here, we do have the fan blowing and everything as it should be with it in normal mode. So what I got to find out is why the air is not too cold coming off of here. It's almost like a room temperature. And I checked the condenser on the back, and the condenser's not getting warm. The condenser should be hot because it's extracting the cold air off of it, so it should be supplying heat to the condenser. So the evaporator should be cold and the condenser should be hot. So it's an indication of a couple of things. One, it could be that the air is not passing over the top of the evaporator enough. It could be the defroster sensor or something that could be keeping it from wanting to cool there, or it could be an expansion valve issue. So we got to pull this other side off so that we can get to the coils and see what else we can see in here. Okay, so on the back here, we took off the little cover and we took off the screw there. And then up here on top, there's a little cover right here and a screw that comes off of there. And that's so that we can remove this piece, which just pulls down like that. And then that'll allow us to remove this piece, which I'm gonna have to get something to stick in behind there. So we stick a little deal in behind this plastic, and it helps us to pry that up, and then we could just pull that stuff off of there. Okay. There we go. And there's our fan. We can feel, but it's not blowing cold. So I guess we'll have to, I'm gonna unplug it so I can get this this fan out of there. Okay, to pull the fan, you just push in on the sides of the fan like this, and it pops right out. There you go. Connector came undone, and now we have this stuff off. The coil here, and yeah, this isn't cold at all. It feels cool but not cold. To get this bottom piece out, you just pull up on it, turn it sideways, and you can get that bottom piece out of there. And now we've got access to everything else. Okay, so what we did is we unplugged this defrost sensor. We checked it, the impedance on it. I think it's supposed to be like 11 mega ohms or something like that, but not only did we check the resistance on it at room temperature, we also unplugged it to see if that would make a difference on the cooling of this. And we get no cooling. Compressor's pumping, it's cooling very, very little. So the only thing that brings me to is that one of two things: the compressor is out of freon, it got a leak somewhere, or the compressor is bad and it's not pumping high enough a pressure to get that freon to change states. So unfortunately, it looks like this deal here is gonna need a compressor, and I don't know how much those cost, or if we even want to spend the trouble to do it. I don't have the equipment to do it, so I would have to call somebody in, or a repairman, a refrigerator repairman, to remove the freon and to change that compressor. But one of the things I found online on these is that they have a problem with failing compressors. So more than likely that's our issue, because everything else works. All of the fans work, the sensors that are important work. If you're blowing, if the compressor's pumping and you're blowing air and there's no obstructions or anything that could cause it not to blow air over that coil, this coil, just with the compressor pumping, this coil should be cold, the other one should be hot. And then the fans do the work of, this one does the work of taking the air, the cold air off of this evaporator coil and blowing it into the fridge to cool things down. The one on the back is the condenser fan, and it does the job of pulling the heat off the condenser so that it can cool the gas and turn it into a liquid. So if we're not getting these to get cool, even when all the equipment is on, its cooling is just not very cold. With that said, I think it's probably that compressor, or we've got a leak in this system. Well, folks, that's going to do it for this episode on this LG refrigerator. We'll keep you guys informed if we decide to spend the money on it. Right now, I don't need a refrigerator, so I wasn't planning on having that looked at. But if we do get it looked at and we decide to go ahead and change the compressor on it, then we'll go ahead and let you guys know what the results of this was, and if, in fact, that was the issue. Thanks for watching. Talk to you guys on the next one.